Dun 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 dun. Bum bum bum.
Good evening. Welcome to the 6 o'clock news, your number one source for news in the 1920s and 30s with your hosts Dick Johnson and Sierra, California.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Dick Johnson.
And I'm Sierra, California.
Welcome to our 6 o'clock news. A lot has been happening in our country.
That's right, Dick. Our top story comes out of New York, where today the stock market has experienced a sudden crash. We go live to Steve Cash with the report. Steve, tell us what's going on.
That's right, Sierra. The roaring 20s are over. It's safe to say, Dick, things are gonna get pretty hard. The glamorous life we once knew has come to an end. Early morning, October 23rd, 1929, will forever be known as Black Tuesday, as the stock market we so readily trusted before suddenly collapsed. It is estimated that over $16 billion will be lost, and experts say this will throw the U.S. economy into turmoil. With me, I have stockbroker John Pennywise with the accounts of the crash. John? John? Did he just kill himself? Well, we had John with us. Sad to say, Dick and Sierra, more and more American investors are taking this route. The mass hysteria resulting from the crash has caused many to take drastic financial decisions, and it only seems to be making matters worse. If things continue, we could see financial crisis for the United States and the rest of the world. Back to you, Dick and Sierra.
Well, it looks like I need to call my stockbroker, Sierra.
The stock market crash has now led this country in a Great Depression. Now we go live to Jimmy Johnson at the local soup kitchen, where despair is on the menu.
Thank you, Sierra. We're here at Hungry Man's Soup Kitchen. More and more Americans are relying on places like this for their daily meals. As of today, the impact on the Depression has left at least 12.6 million Americans jobless. Some Americans have taken it upon themselves to make their own business. Some 6,000 street vendors are out here trying to sell apples for 5 cents a piece today. Speaking of 5 cents, the U.S. government has just announced the discontinuation of nickel for at least the next 2 years. Let's head on to the commercials. Thank you.
Good evening. As many of you know, today marks the 19th Armistice Day anniversary. Armistice Day originally began on November 11, 1919, when World War I finally ended. This is due to Woodrow Wilson creating this to commemorate our troops who fought in the Great War. 19 years later, Armistice Day is now becoming a national holiday, and troops that fought in the Great War fear they might have to fight again or lose their children to this new war. However, that hasn't stopped them from celebrating our victory in Europe, because when it comes down to it, we won. America.
The Great Depression is so depressing, but for kids, they look at this for happiness and teddy bears. And for the adults, we have art. Our art movements are Art Deco and Surrealism. And one of the surrealistic artists is Salvador Dali. Another one is Pablo Picasso. Right, Mr. Picasso? Mr. Picasso? I guess he's painting something.
I'm here with Frank, who I have live. What brings you here to the kitchen?
I'm just standing in line like thousands of other men in my position, waiting for my first meal in 2 days.
What has your food?
Well, I've been standing in line for hours waiting to get a bowl of Hoover stew.
Hoover stew? You mean after the president?
Yeah, why do you think it smells so bad? Almost as bad as the Hoovervilles he's making us live in. Well, nothing's that bad. Just the other night I was fighting for a barrel of garbage.
Wait, you were fighting the garbage?
Yeah, me and about 50 other guys duked it out for a barrel of garbage outside a Chicago restaurant the other day. That's just life nowadays, trying to feed my family.
This is Jimmy Johnson, signing back to the studio.
Well, we gotta
I need a drink.
we gotta talk about that budget because I'm not gonna live here anymore.
Guys, we're live.
Well, that is pretty depressing. Let's move on to a lighter topic and see what's going on in the world of technology with our very own Spark Wilson. Spark, what does the world of cutting-edge technology have to offer us?
Well, it seems we are experiencing some technical difficulties. We will have to try back later. However, while technology might not always be on the cutting edge, our next segment is always on top of the hottest new trends. Let's head over to Tammy Loosefoot with this week's Fads, Fashions, and Trends report.
I'm standing in front of the Jazzy J Club where loose women are on the prowl. These unconventional women have sparked movement, a scary one if you've asked me. Let's stand outside and see if we can get a word with one of these flappers. Excuse me, miss. Excuse me. Oh, yes. Can I ask you a few questions about your attire?
This is my outfit I wear when I go out dancing. It frees me to do my favorite dance move, the Charleston.
The Charleston?
Yes, it's all the craze with the new jazz age, made popular by James P. Johnson in the Broadway musical Running Wild. Excuse me, I need to fix my makeup. Ever since Maybelline started making cake mascara, brow pencils, and eyeshadows, I just can't get enough.
Is that all you wear?
Not only do I wear my Maybelline, I love my Chanel No. 5, which was the first fragrance to have a designer with its name, Coco Chanel, to be exact.
You heard it here first. This is a common sight. Women indulging in manly activities such as smoking, consuming alcohol, and engaging in nightlife activities. It's so disturbing. We just received word that there is a petting party going on behind the building. Because of the graphic nature, we won't be able to see. For many of you who don't know what petting parties are, common among these women, erotic exploration and fondling. Oh my, what has this world come to? Back to the studio.
You know, I'm a little bit upset how they always cue back to the studio and forget to include me. It's always back to you, Dick. Well, guess what? It's not always about you.
No, it isn't, Sierra. In fact, if it's recognition of the female form you're looking for, you need look no further than our Gender Watch with Anita Mann. Let's head out to Wyoming, where today women get political participation. Anita, tell us a little bit about what's going on.
Hi Dick, I am here outside of a Wyoming courthouse where we have come one step closer to women's suffrage. Wyoming has now become the first state to grant women the right to vote. Yes, Dick, you're hearing this right. Women are now allowed to vote.
I can't believe women want the right to vote. Can you believe that? This is an outrage.
That's right, Dick. Looks like Congress has ratified the 19th Amendment to the Constitution and has now granted women the right to vote, bringing the separate spheres between men and women closer. I think we are starting to see a trend here, Dick. Women are not only gaining political participation, but are now starting to find their way into employment. While the changes are topics that have been long fought for and sought after, many still do share a pessimism in the change. There is an unshakable fear in some that women will take over jobs and leave the men at home cleaning and cooking.
I think it's time to see what wonders the future holds for us, with technology reporter given by our own Spark Wilson. Spark, can you hear us?
Until technology issues are resolved, I would like to go vote that we explore on the latest of race.
I'll second that motion.
Hi, Dick. I'm standing in front of the Capitol building in Denver, where many of our political figures are admitting they are KKK supporters, some of which are also members themselves. It's safe to say the atmosphere is very ghostly. From past reports, many lawmakers around these parts are trying to keep their power and believe their rights are the product of good, wholesome Southern ideals. Not only are they targeting the rights of blacks, but also Catholics, Jews, and other foreigners. Senator Bobby White, can I have just a moment, just a question?
I'm sorry, Mr. Bojangles. I'm a very busy, important man, and I don't have time for games. Now, if you'll excuse me.
Just one question. Why are you a supporter of the Ku Klux Klan? Is it a movement of panic or hostility? The popular public opinion today is that people who support the KKK are acting out in desperation. What would you say in response to such accusations?
Well, let me tell you something there, Mr. Bojangles. We're tired of all this change and nonsense. We just want to go back to a clean, wholesome American living. You got your blacks wanting more and more rights. I mean, what more can you want? We're just good Christian men against anti-Christian views like drinking, crazy gambling, and those weird cinema theaters that are eating away at our children's good Christian minds. And how about them women that are out wearing provocative clothing, dancing so disgustingly? They should be whipped and tar-feathered for their immoralities. And don't even get me started on this women's right to vote scandal.
Okay, you heard it here first. Thank you, Senator. Back to you, Dick and Sierra.
Even with all my time of interviewing politicians, there is one thing I'll never understand.
What's that, Dick?
I just always wish we could hear the actual thoughts that so often hide behind their professional demeanor. It's a mystery we may never solve.
You're right, Dick. On the topic of political figures, this morning we have received confirmation of ex-President Warren Harding's affiliation with the Teapot Scandal.
For those of you at home catching up, the Teapot Scandal does not involve the British gathering around for tea only to end up realizing the French stole it. No, in fact, Albert Fall, the man who was in charge of the Department of Interior, secretly granted rights of supervision over the oil companies to the Mammoth Oil Company. This secret arrangement granted Edward Doney the rights to two reserves in California. The president did not know about this or is implied because he gave the supervision to the Department of Interior and the Navy.
On a side note, there are some good news to all of this. Our current president, Franklin D. Roosevelt, just passed a new deal and hopes to change our economy in a way that will eventually climb us out of this Great Depression. They have decided to create a new national holiday involving banks.
So once a year we get unlimited amounts of money to spend on the stock market?
No, in fact, that was one of the main issues revolving around the reason why we are in a Great Depression to this day. In fact, it is known as the Emergency Banking Act. This will shut down all the transactions in 4 days for the government to reopen banks that were solvent and help assist those that were not.
Darn, I was really hoping for some extra change so I can buy more of those flapper dresses. It's for my wife.
Anyways, FDR also has created a Social Security Act. This will in turn help out the elderly. They will finance their retirement until they die. It will also provide relief for the unemployment. Also, FDR released the Agricultural Adjustment Act,
in which it states that the government will pay farmers to destroy their produce. It seems like farmers were losing money due to the excess amount of crops. By destroying the crops, it will inflate the price of produce and will give farmers more money so that they don't end up losing their farms.
Still, you didn't have to cut me off, Dick.
I seem like to be the better anchor anyways. If you want to learn more about the New Deal, look it up on our website.
Anyway, Hitler has invaded Poland, yet Britain and France don't seem to care. What are you doing?
I'm doing the same thing America's doing. Not caring. Goodness, all this conflict over right and wrong reminds me of this great joke. You see, Sierra, there's this rabbi and priest, and they're standing on a train platform in the rain.
Dick, I don't think that's the type of joke we should really be sharing on the air.
Alright, Sierra, I suppose you're right.
For the real what's what on religion, let's head over to Minister Hal E. Luya with his always informative Daily Bread broadcast.
Oh, good evening. I'm standing in front of the First Presbyterian Church in Newark, where well-recognized and articulate spokesman for liberal Protestantism, Harry Emerson Fosdick, just delivered his sermon. Shall the fundamentalists win? Highlighting differences between liberal and conservative Christians. I'm trying to get an interview with Fosdick, but I'm having troubles doing so. I'm sorry, but it looks like Harry Fosdick was just exited out the back of the church and left in a strange contraption with wide glow inside, left in speeds of 88 miles per hour and just simply vanished. I did have an associate of mine take down notes inside, and here's the developing story. They're calling it fundamentalist modernist controversy. As you know, there are growing tensions between Methodists, Baptists, Lutherans, Presbyterians being the fourth largest, and the Episcopalians coming in the fifth of the Protestant group. After considerable internal tensions, every major Protestant denomination are coming to accommodate liberalism within the denomination to one degree or another. And furthermore, Clarence McCartney retorts with the sermon. shall unbelief win, stating modernism, if left unchecked, would make, and quote, a Christianity of opinions and principles and good purpose, but a Christianity without worship, without God, and without Jesus. Back to you.
Hey Sierra, you know what kind of car Jesus drives? A Chrysler.
You're terrible, Dick. At least that's one joke you can tell.
Not only that, Sierra, cars seem to be the latest sensation all across the nation.
That's right, Dick. Let's catch up with the automotive tech today. We go to our traveling correspondent at the Route 66 Motel in Southern California, and our road dog, Aston Martin. Are you with us?
Hey guys, now as you know, I've been traveling down the about to be finished Route 66 for the last couple of weeks, putting Ford's new Model A through its paces. It's just amazing, Dick, how many options they're able to offer in their new vehicles now they have transitioned into flexible mass production. I spoke on the telephone earlier with Henry Maverick, an insider in Ford's front office. He told me that by being able to offer their customers these new options, such as quality and styles of interior, they're hoping to broaden their target audience to include women. The fact that they are able to make these new vehicles easier to work on will also help them in their endeavor, he stated. In fact, we are already seeing this happen. The improvements in automotive technology over the last few years has been changing our society as we know it, and I believe will continue to do so for the foreseeable future. With the prices of these vehicles dropping, more middle-class Americans are buying them up and moving out of our urban areas. With the Federal Aid Highway Act now helping the states fix up their roads, traveling will become more enjoyable and allow us to get out and see some of the natural wonders of the world, like the Sequoia National Park.
Whoa! Looks like an urgent news flash had just come in. Please do not adjust the dial on your set as the information following is of the utmost importance.
Thanks, Sierra. I'm standing outside the courthouse in Tennessee, and let me say, no one's bobbing for bananas today. A highly followed monkey trial of John Scopes has just ended. Many know this as an American legal case in which a substitute high school teacher, John Scopes, was accused of violating Tennessee's Butler Act, which made it unlawful to teach human evolution in any state-funded school. Here with me is the defense attorney, Clarence Darrow, who represented and spoke for John Scopes. Hi, Clarence.
Good afternoon.
So, Mr. Darrow, can you tell me what happened in the hearing?
Well, today my client was found guilty. He's forced to pay a fine of $100. In terms of 2015, this would be about $1,300. Overall, we were found guilty in the case, but the publicity that the case got and the arguments that were given have actually worked for our purposes fairly well.
We had word that William Jennings Bryan, a three-time presidential candidate, argued for prosecution. Did that have any effect on the outcome?
Oh, I'd say so. Brian's was a very smart choice with all his experience and speaking against Darwinism prior. He's done multiple speeches on it, and he's also titled a very popular work called The Menace of Darwinism that's gained some great publicity. So he was a great choice for the other side.
How so, in his future political runnings?
You know, today his argument was actually fairly weak. We actually foresee it's going to make some dent in the fundamentalist movement towards his ends, and it was actually a very strong day for us.
Thank you, Mr. Darrow.
Absolutely. By the way, if anyone was looking for a great attorney out there, I do have these flyers here. I'd just like to show.
Thank you, Mr. Darrow. Well, Sierra, it's easy to see that the separation between church and state are a topic of debate. Back to you.
Thanks, Dick. Hello, everyone. This is Spark Wilson, covering all things tech while being filmed on this new Technicolor camera. That's right, folks. Pretty soon here, you will be able to see motion picture in color. With the modern jewel splitting technology, we can part red and green light spectrums and use them to make any color currently out there. Imagine one of the uplifting films for this depression, Grapes of Wrath, and all of your favorite characters in full motion color. And sound recording is no longer an issue either, thanks to our new cameras picking up sound. So now we can hear our favorite actors as well and watching all the wonderful theatrics live. What was once thought to be an impossibility is now a reality. and the heights of innovation seem forever before us. The advances made lead us to believe our standard of living has nowhere to go but up, and the future of technology looks brighter than ever. The capacity of humanity to create and grow in the coming generations is limitless. Back to you folks in the studio.
And this will conclude the 6 o'clock evening news for the 1920s and 30s. We would like to give a special thanks to Midnight Brand Coffee, without whom our show would not be possible. Thank you, and have a great evening. I'm Dick Johnson.
And I'm Sierra, California.
Signing off.